that we saw in the previous series hasn't been picked up yet though, and it doesn't look like he's going to be picked up in his second banning phase. I would like to see Vapo banning it away if they, well, there you go. Just as I predicted, they just ban it away. Vapo have a great understanding, I think, of the meta as a whole. I think their picks have been great. Their banning has also been great as well. We're seeing at the moment of the side of NOX, they're very AD heavy at the moment. So Vapo just needs to ban out a few more AP champions. Maybe the Akali is going to be obviously one of them, but maybe the second one could be like a Jax or a Volibear, or, you know, someone again that brings that AP damage source. I would like to even see a Lilia ban as well. Lilia is a champion that we haven't seen at all really in any of the games in EMEA, and in China it's a high priority pick, sometimes not even in the jungle, as I mentioned at the start of the day. Sometimes you see Lilia mid, sometimes you see Lilia top lane, but Mordekaiser again, another strong pick in that AP pool that we're trying to look for here to round out Nox's composition.
Yeah, again, Mordekaiser, one of those champions that hasn't actually been locked in or banned that much within the past 2 days. But I feel like now Vapo has to kind of go to that next level of understanding, because obviously, like we said in the introduction, that NOX may have a little bit more of a bit of a head on their shoulders in this case, right? I mean, going back to drafting such sort of like iconic picks like the Riven into the Galio as well, and obviously Corki being one of the power picks that we saw in the last series. But banning out the Lee Sin towards the end there, again, another big jungle pick, especially onto the likes of Queenie. We saw him on the Zed, and he performed phenomenally in that game too, right? And kind of Lee Sin kind of replicates that kind of same assassin playstyle into the jungle. But then again, we get the Nazis come through once more.
Yeah, these are very, very powerful picks again for the side of Vapo, but I think NOX are going to have a plan up their sleeve. I think NOX are definitely a powerful roster. They got a powerful team with years of Wild Rift experience, so they're going to know probably what's meta and what's very powerful at the moment, so they're going to try and work their way around this Nasus. And a great way to work around it is playing someone like Vladimir, who can just use the pull and just be a big nuisance when it comes to these team fights. So Vladimir, a pretty good pickup to try and help in these team fights. And now we're kind of really looking for either the jungle or another solo lane here to see how it's going to round out the composition. They're hovering a few champions here. Camille can work great as a combo with the Galio. Volibear also another great option. There's a few pickups that they can go for here. Let's see what they lock in.
Yeah, it looks like they're probably going to lock in the Volibear here. We've already saw it for the side of Vapo in game 1 of the last series. Didn't quite work that well because obviously they had to kind of go up against such sort of burst, heavy damage from the likes of the Swain, but they're not going to have to go against that this time around, right? The synergy for the Volibear and the Galio, like you just mentioned, is definitely going to pay very well into these team fights. Ooh. And we're going to get a Viego.
Yeah, Viego is going to be quite nice here. I think that we need to build a little bit of anti-shield if we're on the side of Vapo in this game, because you have the shielding from the Riven, the shielding from the Volibear, which is going to be very, very difficult. Viego can potentially build it. Gwen can obviously build it as well. These are two champions that really need to build it in these matchups. But overall, two pretty solid compositions. I kind of like both the compositions. Of course, again, for Vapo, we have the late game scaling of the likes of the Nasus and the Ezreal that they had in the previous series. The Gwen is going to do well against all of these tanks like the Galio and even the Volibear to try and shred through all of them. So overall, two really solid compositions. I like the look of both of them, and it's really going to come down to the gameplay itself and the team fights to see who's going to take this game number 1.
Exactly that. Just I think it's all down to this point, with it being no longer the kind of like night and day stark difference between the drafts, which we saw obviously in the previous series. It's kind of like, it's not the return of obviously all the big power picks. It's the return of some of the kind of like OG meta picks like the Galio and the Riven, kind of implementing that in with the Corki as well. And over to the side of Vapo, they're going for obviously the power picks that we mentioned in the previous series as well. The Nasus, the Ornn, Gwen even, especially into those tankier picks. But it's all about how they execute it, right? Like if one thing goes wrong for them, if obviously, like you said, with the Viego building a lot of anti-shield, they need to do that to kind of obviously chop him down. And honestly, a team like NOX are definitely going to have that kind of intel.
No, I think that's the key to this kind of series in general. I mean, we know how strong both of these teams are. We know how strong they can be. Look, we even have the new mecha skin. Was that Volibear? I think that was Volibear, wasn't it? The new one of the new mecha skins that just came out a few days ago. So hey, we got some new swag, some new skins being brought out onto the Rift as well. So hey, everyone's got it. Everyone's got it for this final series of the day. So it's going to be very exciting to see what's going to be happening in this last series, to see Who's going to come out on top, Blam, and who's going to win the Rift Legends battle?
I mean, they're already at disadvantage for the side of NOX, right? I mean, they don't have the chicken skin on the Galio, so that's already like an instant downvote for me. That's my favorite skin. That's kind of got a buff on it as well. So, hey, if they haven't got the chicken skin, they ain't going to win this one. But no, all things aside, all jokes aside, it's definitely where they get the first pickoffs into these this game number 1, right? Do they decide to get it obviously in the mid lane? Obviously, great taunt here from the Galio. Mumu just kind of just put a little bit of a blaze into the back, but it is going to be Susanoo just gets a knock-up onto the Galio. Is it going to be enough for Tung Tung Sahur to get the hit down onto that? Oh, the flash with it as well.
Beautiful play there by Tung on the Ezreal. That Q flash, the perfection, the snipe with that Mystic shot. Really, really well played by the Ezreal. We already saw in the previous series how this Ezreal can come in handy and how strong this Ezreal can be if he gets ahead. And that's a great start here for the Ezreal to try and get ahead early on, and a great start for Vapo.
Very good start for Vapo, right? But I mean, are we surprised at obviously the performance of the Ezreal on Tung Tung Sahur in the previous game? Like, they were very, very good with the true shot barrage as well as just landing those mystic shots when they needed to, especially like timing it with a flash. Like, that takes a lot of skill for majority of Ezreal players, but he's shown it within 2 games back to back.
Yeah, it's an incredible performance. And again, the Ornn just helping out as well. The Ornn with the CC, the Ornn with the extra crowd control, and the extra damage coming on through as well. So it's going to be really, really good. Again, you're seeing again the double knock-up. And I think everyone can see the power of this Ornn pick. Ornn in general just doesn't get picked that much in solo queue because people don't really understand the power of this pick and what it can bring to team fights and what it can bring when it comes to the 2v2. But I think if people watch this tournament and even over in China as well, you just watch a few of these games and you'll understand how strong this pick can be and how many plays you can make and how much of a carry you can be as a support.
Exactly. I mean, even upsetting like the takes of the neutral objectives as well, right? Using that massive ultimate. But okay, we do get the flash in with the taunt as well. It is going to be enough to take down Tung Tung Sahur. At the same time, Mumu goes down as well. That's a 2-2 trade overall. Wow. We have Riven on the run away from the Galio. Looking for a bit of a rotate to see if she can get any help, but she dashes over the wall into safe distance. But Lilo looking for a bit of a rotation here, maybe trying to just see if he can seek out the Riven, but it's a bit too late.
Yeah, back and forth here. Great flash there by the Riven to get the double knock up into the back line and get 2 kills in the end on that Riven, which is quite nice. But again, as you mentioned, it was a 2-for-2 trade. So even trades across the board at the moment. And this is exactly what we wanted to see in a grand final. A close-knit team fight in the mid lane to start things off, even before the objectives spawn. And you can tell by just the first few minutes of this game that this series is going to be a banger.
Absolutely. I mean, a lot of kind of like back and forth, but not a lot of like tit for tat and nothing happening. They definitely kind of like committing with it, but I feel like that's the kind of the utility of such great picks like the Galio and the Ornn, right? Like we were saying, the potential of the knockups from the Ornn, but also kind of like the dive in with the taunt, with the Galio is already sort of like bearing the fruit that they need for Nox to sort of stay into this game number 1, right? I mean, between both of the teams, not a lot of difference in terms of the gold.
Yeah, for now, not a lot of difference. There's going to be a knock up onto the backline, onto the Corki as well. They're trying to burst down the Corki, but they can't do enough damage yet. The Volibear actually takes down 1 kill for now, takes down 2 kills, and what looked like an overextend for the side of Nox actually turned in their favor, and then Volibear was able to get 2 kills in the end.
Yeah, nice little bait and switch there. Obviously trying to like use the Corkies a little bit of a prize pony, so that, hey guys, try and jump on top of this, able to kind of package out of there, get it out with the dash as well, and then we just saw Volibear get 2 kills to the side of Nox, and that's a good setup, right? A good setup, a good bit of gold lead as they're going into the potential first 2 neutral objectives, using the true shot barrage to cancel the recall of the Galio here. It's going to take a while for him to get back, and maybe even trying to harass him a little bit more. I mean, he needs to go back and buy some items.
Yeah, he just wants to go and spend his gold that he was able to get a few moments ago, but I think he's fine with staying in the lane as well, just making sure that there's no mid lane tower or any mid lane pressure that goes on down. Both the objectives have spawned though, and it does look like it seemed like it looks like Vapo wants to prioritize the dragon instead of the Rift Herald. They don't want to go for this early game fight, or maybe they might try and take both objectives. With the dragon going down quite quickly, maybe this Ornn ultimate, which is up in a few seconds time, can make a big difference. But no, the Rift Herald's going down. Maybe they can try and look for a team fight. There's the Ornn Horn coming on through, but Galio taunts him, so he can't even get back with the Ornn Horn. He can't hit it back towards the entire team of NOX. So really well played there by the Galio, stopping the Ornn in his tracks.
Yeah, completely like collateral damage, just neutralizing that for the side of NOX. So it's going to be the Galio there. So definitely like what we wanted to see and why we kind of wanted this in the draft like a few days ago, right? Galio into some of these drafts that we've been seeing over the past day or so. Definitely works very well, especially like when we saw like picks like the Singe as well, right? Like if you just replace that with a Galio, you'd probably be on a much better foot if you were Mango Esports.
Yeah. As we're just carrying on farming the mid lane right now. Gold is basically dead even at this point. Nothing really separating the teams in terms of gold. The big gold difference right now is in the top lane, with the Volibear really far ahead at the moment of the Gwen, and even the Nasus a little bit behind the Vladimir. We know how strong the Vladimir can scale. We know how strong the Nasus can scale as well. But it's all about how much you can farm and how much gold you're able to get in these sideways. So it's about trying to farm, get the golds, get the stacks onto the Volibear. It's all been about this 2v2 at the moment. As more aggression happens in this mid lane, Xerxej are forced to use the Arcane Shift to get away there from the Riven engage. It's just going to be a Rift Herald for now in that mid lane. Isn't going to be able to take the tower, but just a few more platings, a few extra golders. Oh, there was a exchange in the mid lane very briefly there onto Mumu, but have Ornn Horn top sides.
Yep, Susanoo gets 2 knockups with the Ornn ult, and then we see the dive in with Queenie. Queenie looking pretty low, but Volibear straight into the back line. But it is going to be Riven that gains the kill for the side of NOX overall. But what a big engage. Obviously, we saw that Queenie overcommitted a little bit too early within that one. There was definitely like no sort of sustainability for the Viego in that early team fight.
Yeah, Viego pick right now, not really doing too well, to be fair. It's kind of struggling to break through some of these tanks and trying to break through some of the damage. Mumu! Oh, he gets the final auto attack in the end. Cleanses away from the knockup from Ornn, and that is why Mumu is able to shine on this pick. Brilliant play there, and great, great incentive there to try and, dash forward, knowing his damage limit on the Corki, and knowing he's able to escape with the cleanse and the flash over the wall.
Yeah, gotta be careful here to the top bot side of the map of NOX. Knows that Queenie's trying to go in, trying to get a bit of this slow there from the Viego, trying to push in, but now we are seeing that Riven coming through as well as the Galio. Ornn coming in on top as well. Gotta be careful. Gwen looking pretty low, able to sustain just a little bit. True shot barrage kind of missed at that point. A little bit of a fumble of the bag for the side of Vapo, maybe just used as a bit of a deterrent.
Yeah, really close though, to be fair. Trying to get just used to try and force the members of NOX away from that tower and away from that team fight. Weren't able to kill off the Gwen there, unfortunately, but so far NOX look like to be the ones to be ahead when it comes to the tempo and also in terms of the gold lead as well. But the gold lead is nothing really to look at the moment. The gold lead is very minuscule, and you have a lot of scaling on the side of Vapo anyway, but they're going to look to try and take this bot lane tower. Looks like they are going to take this bot lane tower. So again, more gold going in the hands of this Ezreal in the back pocket. Again, the gold difference now is like 1,000 gold. There's not really much difference between the two teams.
So yeah, we got the knock onto the Gwen once more. A little bit of a 2v1. Looking to join on top. It's going to be the Riven here. It's not going to be able to withstand a 3v1 here, surely. Trying to play around, but then FAFO finds out the Gwen, unfortunately. But I mean, they trade the bot T1 for the mid T1 as well. So obviously, overall, it's just an equalized trade between both of these teams. Not arguably having a bit more control of the jungle now, thanks to that T1 in the mid lane falling down. But like we were saying about the gold, it's definitely not too far between and not too important just yet.
I'm just kind of curious to see how this Viego is going to play throughout the game, because I think the Viego pick is going to be very important, when looking to try and play this front to back play style, trying to make sure that you can play around these picks trying to play around, getting kills onto the front line, giving the Viego the resets, but at the moment hasn't been able to get that, as Riven just jumps over the wall there, is able to take the Dragon, and now they're going to try and get the pick onto the Ornn, but the Gargoyle Stoneplate, their tankiness is so strong, and the Ornn Horn just comes on through like it's absolutely nothing, and they're going to get one kill onto the Galio. Can Vapo get any more? No, they're just going to back off for now. They'll take the kill, and now they try and take this mid lane tower.
Yeah, just try and play kind of get the advantage for themselves into the mid lane here for the side of Vapo, able to claim a kill for them as well. Taking Galio off of the board means that they're not going to have that global ultimate for a few moments already being used as well. I feel like now it's just maybe trying to just bait out the jungle into the
Nemesis
jungle. Yep, Nemesis Jaw is activated here between the Ornn and the Volibear for now.
And all of the Volibear both in the top side of the map at the moment. I'm gonna have to try and remember what happens if someone wins a Nemesis duel. I'm pretty sure if Volibear chat can maybe remind me of Nemesis duel. I haven't seen one in quite some time. I believe Volibear gets a knock-up with his ultimate if he wins the Nemesis duel. I can't remember what Ornn gets. Someone will have to remind me what Ornn will get if he wins the Nemesis duel. So maybe we'll have to wait and find out.
That's it. It's kind of surprise. I mean, I haven't seen a Nemesis Jaw for quite some time within Wild Rift, but now we are seeing a little bit of a stark difference here between both Nox and Vapo. Obviously, Nox now up with 8 kills to 4, and then the gold lead still roughly around about that 2k gold territory.
There you go, SM coming in touch in the Twitch chat. So yeah, Ornn gets the slow and the shield on his third ability, and then Volibear, as I mentioned, you know, he gets the knock up, and then his ulti becomes bigger. So two pretty impactful ways in which the champions can become stronger, but they don't have forever for this Nemesis duel. They only have, you know, like a few minutes to try and trigger this Nemesis duel and try and get a kill. If they're not able to get a kill, then yeah, the Nemesis duel is just going to expire, and me and Blam are going to be sad.
Very, very sad. Very, very sad. We want to see the enhanced ultimates from either of the Ornn or the Volibear, right? They're able to claim the blue buff, it looks like, for the side of Vapo, taking that away from Nox right now. Again, especially with this cooldown reduction for the Riven, could be a little bit of an upset in terms of the momentum that Nox already kind of established for themselves.
Exactly that. You can see that at the moment, Nox trying to defend this mid lane as much as they can, trying to defend the minion wave, trying to defend the tower. And they're doing just that. They're doing a pretty good job at the moment. The Corki is now at 2 items. The Ezreal also at 2 items. We're kind of waiting for this, you know, Nasus really to get to 2 items at this point. There's the anti-shield that I was talking about onto the Gwen. Surprisingly, Viego's gone for Blade of Ruin King, which in general is not really that strong of an item at the moment on the Viego. You either go for the anti-shield or you go for something else. Meanwhile, seems to be a fight in the top side. It's not against the Ornn, but the Ornn is coming. And this duel could be happening.
Yeah, but he's rocking around, looking low. Is going to be the Gwen getting taken down in the early part of the team fight, thanks to Shayo there into the mid lane of Nox. So they're already fighting in a bit of a handicap right now. Viego looking pretty low in terms of health, and obviously Tung Tung's a whore as well. Not going to be able to kind of find his way and flash in without potentially getting punished here by the side of Nox at this moment in time. But obviously, Baron Nashor up. They don't want to really go for this, to be honest. I mean, they're already low in health. They don't want that debuff come through, especially when the side of Nox is looking pretty healthy here going into this phase of the game.
Unfortunately, it seems like we are not going to be getting the Nemesis duel. Looks like the it's probably going to expire in a few minutes, unfortunately. Yeah, I mean, Gwen has been caught out a few times this game, unfortunately. For Vapo, I think it's just been caught out a few times in the side lane, just not respecting, I guess, the dive potential of the likes of the Volibear and also the Riven, and Galio following up with the ultimate as well. Respecting the dives and respecting your side lane is always a very important thing in Wild Rift, because you don't want to overextend when you don't have a tower to fall back to. So it's a very, very difficult time for this Gwen at the moment, but it does look like on the side of Nox wants to try and prioritize towards this Baron and try and get some vision control. But at the moment, again, it's a very, very close game that can go either way at any moment.
Yeah, it's one wrong team fight, right? One wrong team fight, one overstepping off the side of either Vapo or Nox could definitely make a whole difference between these two teams going at it. The Nemesis duel, unfortunately, as ended. We probably won't ever see this again within Rift Legends for quite some time. That's my PSA to save teams. we need some more Nemesis tools. We want to see those enhanced ultimates from the Ornn and the Volibear, or anybody else that has that Nemesis tool system as well. But neither of these teams can go, obviously, for the Dragon Soul. They only have one Dragon apiece. They can't get 3, but right now, already looking pretty low is Susanoo using the Gargoyle enchantment as well. It's not going to be enough for Riven to shred down onto the side of Nox as well. So already taking Susanoo off means that their team fight potential has become pretty much like 50-50 split.
The Galio has been the MVP of these fights so far. Every single time that Ornn uses the ultimate, the Galio is there to taunt every single time. And now they're looking to dive on in. And there's nothing that the Ezreal can do about it. Queenie has to escape as well with the ultimate. But meanwhile, look in the bot lane. The Nexus in the bot lane is trying to take the inhibitor tower. Volibear has to go back to base. It does look like they are going to lose the inhibitor, but they're also going to lose the Baron for it as well. So it's inhibitor for Baron trade. Queenie's looking to go on through, but no, isn't going to do enough. Use the stasis as just a it's a prolonged call to his death, unfortunately, as Gwen looking to dash over the wall here. Maybe the Gwen could do a little bit of damage, but no, Galio ulti comes on through. That's the magic shield as well, and oh my, Vladimir's damage is getting very scary as the scaling comes on through.
Scary and hairy, but honestly, I think like the saving grace there for Vapo was obviously be able to put a lot of pressure down to the bot side of the map of Nox. But now that they have obviously the enhanced minions thanks to the Baron Nashor, it's kind of like already mitigated that sort of stress for the side of Nox. They're going to have obviously healing within the minion wave as well. But now they're on the side of Nox, they're going to have a lot of aggression, being able to kind of try and push these turrets as well, like T2 in the mid lane, going down very quickly. Susanoo actually getting a dash, but not connected onto anybody, and they definitely, at the fault of Susanoo there, lost a T2.
I think it's very difficult now for Vapo to try and come back into this game. Going to try and do Ornn Horn again in the mid lane to try and get a pick. They're not able to get anything at all. They're trying to get a kill onto the Volibear in the bot lane. I think they are going to get the kill, but they are going to lose the mid lane inhibitor for it. Galio's just going to use the ultimate to try and help out. The shutdown just going through onto the Volibear. So that's a lot of gold there over to Queenie. And maybe the Nasus can start to be a big difference in these fights. You can see how much the Q's doing. But oh my god, the Viego jumps in. Queenie tries to make a difference, but a difference he cannot. He jumps in straight onto the Vladimir, and Vladimir's like, I will just press my second ability and I'm now invulnerable and I can't take any damage. And that's the difficulty when you don't know the limits of these champions. Sometimes if you don't know what these champions do, then it's going to be a very big downfall. But it looks like there's going to be no downfall for Nox this time. They're going to go through straight onto the base here, straight onto Nexus, and end this game number 1.
Yep, all she wrote there for Noxus as they take game 1 over Vapo, but it wasn't the most kind of like concise sort of written already, especially from that early game for Nox. Obviously, we saw a little bit of a turnaround there for Vapo many times. Obviously, Tung Tung Sahur getting that obviously fantastic first blood, obviously with the flash and the mystic shot on the Ezreal. So there's definitely still like a little bit of contention here between these two teams, and we're seeing it in these highlights.
Yeah, I think, like as mentioned, I think it all just came down to the gameplay itself. I mean, both team compositions had some very strong power pits. It really came down to who knew the limits of the champions, and Mumu there showing in that replay, he knows the limits of the Corki. And I think the Riven pick was very powerful as well. The Riven pick was able to catch out the Gwen in the side lanes multiple times, catch out the Viego as well. Unfortunately, the Viego didn't really work too well here for Queenie. Just couldn't really do enough damage, unfortunately, in these fights to get the resets that he wanted to. And even when he tried to dive in to try and get the resets, Vladimir would just use the pull, or you just have the Galio ultimate coming in to give them the extra shielding, the extra bit of power. So very difficult scenario here for the side of Vapo to try and come back from. But as you mentioned, Blam, you know, pretty close game overall. It could have gone either way in the end.
Oh, absolutely. Either way in the end. Like, I do have to give it over to, obviously, Nox, though. The amount of, obviously, like, CC that they have. If we look over to the side of Vapo, like, really, the only playmaking CC that they really had was, obviously, the Ornn there. Just getting, obviously, the diving onto walls, getting those double knockups, triple knockouts that we saw. But then also using the Ornn Horn to just summon the ultimate. That's the only time we really saw the catch-outs here for the side of Vapo. So maybe they just need a little bit more control going forward. Maybe the Gwen, honestly, for me, didn't shine as bright as they played previously. So maybe trading something up into the top side of the map in the Baron lane or top lane over the Gwen, give a bit more control over.
I think you saw really the power of the engage tools that the you know, that Nox had. I think with the Riven dashing on in, the Volley Bear dashing in, as well as the Galio, as you mentioned. The only real engage that Vapo had was the Ornn, and that was it. Like this, you know, example here. But again, I mean, the Galio, every single time the Ornn tried to use the ultimate, Galio was there to protect his team. Galio was there to taunt as soon as the Ornn could use the ulti again. So it was just a really good counter pick overall to go for this Galio. And again, Galio very strong against, you know, these AP champions that can do a bit of AP damage, like the Gwen. Even the Nasus does a little bit of AP damage, the Ornn, as well as the Ezreal. So these AoE taunts and the AoE ultimates that you can get on down. And you know, unfortunately for Vapo, that does mean that they're going to fall to defeat in game number 1. But is this a best of 3 series though in this grand final? So there could still be a long way to go.
They could be. I mean, we've already seen Vapo go through the ringer, right, with Mango Esports. They went the full, obviously, best of 3 between the Spanish team as well. So they could obviously do this with NOX also. But I don't feel like NOX is going to give them that kind of like big draft that they're really expecting. I mean, they had power picks like the Nasus, like the Ornn. This time around, obviously, flexing in the likes of Ezreal, as well as the Viego and the Gwen. Obviously, already stated the Baron lane and the jungle not quite having that same kind of devastation that was really expecting for them. But to the respects of Nox was just how they drafted this one, with a lot of CC, a lot of engage, a lot of burst, rundown, especially from Shio as well. Shio was definitely kind of like the true sort of breaking point within those team fights. Like he was just doing so much damage, and then 703 KDA is pretty huge.